Hi, it's Brian here, and welcome to Brian Orson's audiobook series. And today we're going to be reading Chapter 1 of Ulysses Moore, The Dolce Time, Argo Manor. But before we get started, let's read this note first. Dear reader, we received the following email from one of our editors, Michael Merriweather, in July 2005. Once we read it, we knew we had to share the story with you immediately. Michael has been in England since then, searching for more lost manuscripts written by the mysterious Ulysses Moore. We thank you for taking this adventure with us. We have no idea where it will end up. Your friends at Scholastic. From Michael Merriweather. Date, July 20th, 2005. 3:48 a.m. To the editors of Scholastic, Inc. Subject, a fascinating mystery. I know you all thought I was crazy coming to England in search for Ulysses Moore and his manuscripts, but I'm onto something. I'm sure of it. I am now in the town of Manor because I can't find Kilmore Cove, where Ulysses is said to live, on the map. I'm not sure it even exists. There is grave danger here. I've asked many people about Ulysses. Their faces just go white. Then today, I found a trunk at my door, and inside was a manuscript written by Ulysses Moore himself. It's in some sort of code, but I'm slowly figuring out how to translate it. The manuscript tells the story of 3 kids who stumble upon something very powerful and may be dangerous. I'm fascinated. Once I finish this translation, I urge you to get this out to the kids of America. We need their help in order to solve this mystery. Who is Ulysses Moore? There are many more manuscripts out there. I just know it. I must go. I will write or call again soon. M.M. Ulysses Moore, The Dolce Time, Chapter 1, Argo Manor. The house appeared suddenly from around the bend. Its stone tower rose up like a finger pointing at the sky. It was framed by the gray blue sea. "Wow," gasped Miss Convenant. Behind the wheel, her husband simply smiled. He steered the car through a forbidding iron gate, opened specifically for their arrival, he guessed, and parked the car in the courtyard. Mrs. Convenant got out, the white gravel crunching beneath her feet. She blinked and stared, touching her fingers to her lips as if she was not yet sure that she could believe her eyes. The house was perched high upon a cliff overlooking at the sea. Waves crashed against the rocks far below. The air had a sharp, salty taste. The house was enclosed by the blue of the sea and sky as if it were about to be swallowed up by nature herself. Tiny rows of trees stood up at each side, punctuated by flowers of every color. From the edge of the cliff, a visitor could barely glimpse a small sandy beach below. Farther out was the Bay of Kilmore Cove. A town had gathered around it, its houses huddled close to the sea. Every house, every person, the entire town, it all centered around the roar of the sea. As she stood in the courtyard, eyes blinking with amazement, Miss Convenant was joked by an old man, his face covered with deep wrinkles and a trim white beard. The man's gaze was intense, searching. "My name is Nestor," he said. "I'm the caretaker here at Argo Manor." "So that's the name, Argo Manor. How strange," Miss Convenant thought. Meanwhile, the caretaker had started limping in the direction of the house. He led the couple to an ornate porch that offered a breathtaking view of the sea below. "Are you sure we're not mistaken?" Miss Convenant asked in disbelief. She brushed her hand along the walls of Argo Manor, as if to reassure herself that it was real, and this wasn't all some fantastic dream. Her husband took her hand. His wife's reaction to this place delighted him. She was already overwhelmed, and they hadn't even stepped inside. "Now get ready for this," he whispered in her ear. The inside of Argo Manor is even more spectacular than the outside. Nestor swept them off on a hurried tour of the house, darting in and out of rooms, opening doors, pulling back curtains, then quickly ushering the Convenants along to the next room. The house was old, yet it had character. Yes, that was the word, thought misconvenient character, as if it were living thing instead of a mere house of stone and wood. The furniture was a crazy jumble of styles, seemingly from every corner of the globe. An Egyptian vase, a Venetian desk, Persian rugs, a painting from the Hudson River School. Yet somehow it all worked. Everything had its place. "Tell me this is all true," Miss Convenant murmured to her husband. "This is all ours? Tell me I'm not dreaming." He squeezed her hand. "It's true, my dear," he replied. "Welcome to your new home." The caretaker showed them into an elegant sitting room that had an ancient ceiling with exposed beams. The walls were stone. Leading into it was a small archway. Across the room there was another door, a door of dark wood set into the far wall. "This is one of the oldest rooms," Nestor said. He smiled with satisfaction. The former owner, Mr. Ulysses Moore, was very strict about certain details. He insisted that these rooms stay true to their original function. True, time changes all. There once was a medieval tower here that was destroyed by a storm long ago. The only change that Mr. Moore allowed to this room was to seal off the drafty windows and naturally to have electrical wiring installed. "Though, I confess," he added, "we still have problems with the draft. Jason will love it here," Mr. Convenant said. His wife remained silent. Her thoughts were all on her daughter, Julia. "There are 2 kids, isn't that right?" the caretaker inquired. "Yes, a boy and a girl, both 11 years old," Miss Convenant replied. "Twins." Nestor's eyes twinkled. "And I imagine they're bright and full of life. How happy they will be here," he said. "Don't worry about them, madam. The house might be isolated from others, but it contains a world of excitement for adventurous young ones." "Oh, very adventurous, all right," Mrs. Convenant said with a smile. She was not worried about Jason. He was a dreamer, and she knew that he'd instantly feel the magic of this place. But Julia was different. She was a city girl who enjoyed the buzz and bounce of urban living, the noises, the mad rush, the whirlwinds of faces and culture. Mr. Convenant seemed to read his wife's thoughts. "They'll be fine," he said reassuringly. "Even Julia. It will be good for them both." Mrs. Convenant nodded. "Yes, of course," she told Nestor. "The twins will be thrilled." "Perfect," purred Nestor, stroking his beard. "Just perfect. So it's a deal, then?" He thrust out his hand to Mr. Convenant. The husband explained to his wife that the former owner, Ulysses Moore, was an energetic, an old man of peculiar ideas. He had wished for the house to be leased only to a young family with at least 2 kids. Nestor nodded in agreement. He wanted the house to be full of life, the caretaker explained. Old Mr. Moore believed that a house without young voices like a man who was dead. He led the couple back outside. A moment before she walked out, something made Mrs. Convenant pause under the archway. She turned to look again at the door in the eastern wall. The wood looked burnt in some places, as if it had survived the fire. In other places, it was scarred by scrapes and deep gashes. As if, could it be, someone had once taken an axe to it in fit of rage. "What happened to that door?" she asked. Nestor stopped, glanced from the door to Mrs. Convenant, and shook his hands. "Ah, I'm sorry," he replied. "Mr. Moore's orders. That door should have been replaced long ago. Just pretend it isn't there." He walked to the door, crossed his arms, and eyed it like an old adversary. It has been through everything, this old door. Long ago, the keys to open it were, misplaced. You see these 4 holes? Mr. Moore believed they were locks. He tried to open it in every imaginable way, but it was no use. This door," Nestor concluded, "is sealed forever." "And what did it read? And where did it lead?" wondered Mr. Convenant. The caretaker shrugged. "Who knows? It's a mystery to me. This hotel is full of secrets. Once this door might have provided a shortcut to the old water tank, but even that no longer exists." He gazed at the door thoughtfully. "It is a door without a purpose." Mrs. Convenant ran her hand gently down the blackened, scratched wood and felt a pang of concern. Maybe we should put something in front of it, she said, turning to her husband. I wouldn't want the kids to try and open it. Excellent idea, Nestor quickly agreed, limping out of the room. That is the best things to do. The kids should never get it in their minds to try to open it. Stay on the lookout for Chapter 2, Footsteps, coming soon!